From Boston, Massachusetts, to Adelaide, Australia, and everywhere in between. Talking local and national sports and just about anything discussed in a tavern. Broadcasting from South Lyon, Michigan. Welcome to Easy Speak at Speakeasy 330 with your hosts, Rich and Tom.
Hello.
Remote setup today.
Remote, kind of like my job, remote.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to do is sit in front of a computer screen at night, but here we are, right?
Well, it's for fun reasons, not, hey, I need to do an employment verification. But anyways.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We are
so
back.
What's going on, buddy?
We're back together. It's been a while. Did you enjoy your trip?
Sure. I did enjoy. Sorry, I was looking over here at notes, but yeah, no, I really enjoyed the trip. I'll tell you right now, two airports. Sacramento wasn't bad, but man, Las Vegas, you want to talk about some rude ass people? Absolutely rude as hell.
Well, they deal with all kinds of walks of life in that place. People coming off big wins, and
but it wasn't from like people working. It wasn't like a hospitality thing. It was the people that were there that probably lost their asses.
Oh yeah.
And so I was at Starbucks, and I hate Starbucks, but that was the only coffee place. I was standing in line, and mind you, the line is probably like 30 deep.
Yeah, I can imagine.
So by the time I get inside the building, the kiosk, they're handing coffees to this dude, and this dude just absolutely just berating this woman. That lady just finally turned around. She goes, "You know what? You can get your ass out of here right now." Oh no, it was like, "You get your ass out of here because we're not putting up with that shit." That's what it was. So it was definitely interesting. But
wow.
No, yeah, it's all walks of life there. I saw a lot of people feeding 20s into the slot machine, ready to leave town. Hopefully, get on
test their luck on their way out the door.
Yeah, they instead of leaving with empty pockets, they probably left with emptier pockets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But it was a good time. Time spent with family. Saw my nephew, my sister. My nephew got engaged while we were out there, so that was exciting. Hung out with a cousin that I haven't seen in 30 years. And pretty much what happened was we got to a certain point where, as everybody was getting older, they just kind of divided out. Everybody kind of went their own way. So, But it was nice. It was really nice being able to reconnect and made plans for another trip. So
nice.
Sometime next year, I'll be going back out west.
Nice. I know from the pictures I saw, it was amazing. And if you shaved your beard, I think you and your cousin would look like brothers. But you definitely tell you guys were related.
But funny thing is, you say that is, we're related, but we're not related by blood. Believe it or not.
You guys look a lot alike.
Well, it was on my mother's side. So my mother was adopted. So it was that adopted side of the family.
Right.
But yeah, nonetheless, but it's the same mannerisms. It's funny. I guess that was just maybe some of the trends through everybody growing up together. But we do have a lot of the same outlook on stuff. Let's put it that way.
Well, that's cool. Glad to see you had a good time.
Speaking of outlook,
yeah, we
pretty busy in the Motor City, huh?
Yeah, quick little update locally. Mel Tucker rumored to have a 10-year, $95 million contract on the table. Thoughts of that? Maybe is that a little high? Is it just about right, or or what do we got here?
Me personally, it's something that they had to do, and the reason why I'm saying that they had to do it is because you're looking at right now. You got two schools, possibly three, because I think somebody's going to get. I think Lincoln Riley might be out after this year.
Well, they were talking to him about going to LSU.
Yeah, so I think he's going to be gone. I think with some openings coming up, that let's just say they probably have more financial backing. They want to lock Mel Tucker in,
Yeah,
to a longer term. And just like what JP just said, there's a lot of pressure on Tucker to pay him more than
well,
Day. But you know what though, what I have seen and what I've noticed is that some of the major, a lot of the major alumni, those $1 million, $1 billion alumni, Ishbia and Dan Gilbert being one,
yeah,
they're looking to compete in the football program. We know Ishbia gave a bunch of money to the athletics. I'm sure he'd be willing to give, but I was listening to that whole thing today. Again, the radio station I hate now because
me too.
You got two Spartan hosts that are two big homers, but they were right on something. They're saying, hey, they want to dabble. They want to keep them in. They want to dabble with it, and they want to pay that money because they want to take that chance. And now if they got the financial backing, they can take those chances. But they also got the financial backings. If it doesn't work out, they can pay the guy to leave.
Now, for me, I know my favorite Ishbia is involved. He's definitely part of the alumni association, so he's involved with the financing of that. But $9.5 million a year. I get why they're doing it, but is there a coach not named Nick Saban that's really worth $9.5 million? And are they worried that much that he would pull what he did in Colorado? Michigan State came, hey, we'll double what you're making in Colorado. We'll give you twice as much to come to state, and he jumped. Are they worried that could be the scenario?
Yes.
If LSU or USC came talking?
That's exactly what they're worried about. They're worried about losing out on a guy, who has. Whether you get him from the transfer portal or whether you recruit him yourself, something like that, you still got to take a chance on players, and that's what he's done. And he's actually put together a good squad. Maybe they feel as if though they have the momentum right now, where if they kept him 10 years, I think 10 years is excessive. My personal opinion. I don't think he is a quote unquote a Nick Saban. So.
But then again, you look at Nick Saban back when he was at Michigan State, and he really didn't do a whole lot. And then he went to the NFL and had a cup of coffee there, and he failed. And it wasn't until he got to LSU before he really became a household name, got the coaching resume going, and of course he goes to Alabama, and the rest is history. But I agree, 10 years is a long time. At what point is there a buyout, and how much is the buyout? Because you look at Texas A&M's coach, it's like a $60 million buyout if they were to get rid of him. And it's insane.
Yeah, one of the comments that we just got rolled in there is JP said it, hit the nail right on the head. It's a bold move. They are definitely taking a huge financial risk, but then again, they also have the financial backing. So, but to pay a guy $9.5 million a year for a guy who has no national championships, no conference championships.
Yeah.
I think that maybe I would have held off on this until after this weekend, maybe, because there's a lot. You're playing OSU, and realistically, in my personal opinion, you beat OSU.
It's valid. It's valid.
It's a lock.
Right. Right.
So I think that kind of news is I don't think I would have put it out this week.
Yeah.
But however, I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe the guy,
maybe
marches
the
to
players
the beat of
will.
a different drum. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe the players will be motivated. Like, that's our coach. He's here for the long haul. I'm gonna support him.
Yeah.
But moving on.
Speaking of big paydays, I mean, Justin Verlander going back to Houston for 1 year, $25 million coming off of Tommy John surgery.
So to compare that, Noel Syndergaard, Thor, just left the Mets for the Angels on a 1 year deal for $21 million, and Syndergaard's probably, I don't know, 8 years younger than
They're both coming off
Verlander.
Tommy John.
Yep. So it's a risky play here. Houston, interesting because they're going to lose their big shortstop, and I'm sure there's some other players that might be going, but the organization must have a lot of hopes that they're going to get his arm back to the way it was in 2017 when they won the World Series. But that's a definitely a big risk, and you can see why he ended up re-signing with Houston.
Well, because the other offer he had on the table was from the New York Yankees, and I want to say it was a 2-year, $10 million deal. So I mean, obviously the Yankees didn't feel as if though he was marquee enough. Would he have had? Does he have a better chance of winning another World Series? Is it greater with New York or is it greater with Houston? Who knows? Houston's going to lose that bat. You got to think the production that Carrera brings to them.
Carrera's gone. Bregman's not the player he used to be. How much are you going to get out of Altuve? You saw Michael Brantley kind of hobble through the playoffs, and there's a lot of question marks. And that pitching staff didn't really hold up.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Dusty Baker's a good manager, so who knows? And having that piece, which surprises me, because at the start of the playoffs, it seemed like the team didn't even want him around. He was supposed to throw out the first pitch, and they said, hit the bricks. So I'm really surprised that he ended up back in Houston.
Yeah, I mean, right now there is a lot of money floating around the Metro Detroit area because you talked about, Mel Tucker getting that potential 10-year, $95 million. Juwan Howard goes and gets a 5-year extension, and then he goes on to lose to Seton Hall.
I was watching that game. Oh, what a disappointment.
But they needed to lock Juwan Howard into that.
Oh,
because,
sure.
It's just he's and he got a lot of skeptic. A lot of people were skeptical about him coming in because
our favorite host on a certain radio network specifically.
But he wasn't he was a guy that was coming in who wasn't he was never a coach. He was always a bench guy, a bench helper, guy that would. But the guy, from what everybody said, he worked and he deserves every bit that he gets. I think he's got the program going in the right direction. I still think everybody's for a long time Michigan was a football school. Well, I hate to break it to you,
right.
Michigan is a basketball school now.
Right now, yeah. I mean, I think Juwan has a knack to relate to a lot of the players, specifically a lot of the younger basketball players. I mean, he's fairly young himself, and he's got 2 boys that are in the program, and I think that bodes well for future recruiting. And you look at what he's done this year, and then next year, he's got the number 1 recruiting class coming in. I mean, recruiting rankings are what they are, but when you're able to pull, 2 of the top 5 players in the country, it says a lot. And I think the university is looking at it as, we're a football school, but we want to keep this thing rolling, all year round. And it's a good move. He's the right coach. I think Beeline brought him to, prominence again, and Juwan's the one that's going to kind of take him over the hump. And I'm excited to see the future and what it has to hold for that program.
Yeah. And then, still continue on the money front and the contract front. Verlander signs the 1-year, $25 million deal. Now you look at what the Tigers did. The Tigers made a splash, a left-handed starter, the Erod. They got him for 5 years, $77 million. Yeah, so he
He's 29. He's younger. He's a left-hander that can throw in the mid-90s. He was the workhorse for the Red Sox in their little playoff run, and big surprise that they were able to pull that big fish off the market, and that Boston let him go. I know a lot of people in Boston are not happy with the fact that it didn't even seem like they even tried to re-sign him, and so
yeah.
I think that's adding a left-hander to that rotation that it's got a lot of upside. It hasn't really shown it completely, but I think there's enough there, and you throw somebody like that in the mix that can really add to it. It's gonna be fun to watch.
Yeah, you know who I'm surprised you haven't seen anybody make any really big splashes in free agency early on was Dave Dombrowski. You haven't heard the Phillies really haven't made a peep. You know, and he's
Do they have
normally
the
the guy.
money?
He's the guy that likes
Yeah.
to spend a lot of money, but you know
Oh
they got a
yeah, he
lot of money
does.
tied up, and they got a lot of money tied up in
Harper.
Harper and Remuto and stuff like that. So I mean, I think
Well, and
Didi's
you
over
know,
there.
he got in trouble here, and then he went to Boston and got himself in big trouble with spending. And it wasn't until he left that they start winning and making a little bit smarter plays, smarter decisions. So I mean, he's loose with the pocketbook, that's for sure. I mean, but yeah, it is surprising. But I'm excited to see. There's a lot of rumors and this and that about Correa. Um, would I love to have him here? Yeah. Would he be the centerpiece of this team? Uh, would they compete? In the Central if he was on this team? Absolutely. So I think we're on the verge of some good things happening. Uh, Maybe not exactly where we were in 2006, but if you bring in a Correa, it's just like when they brought in Pudge. Yeah, they had to overpay, but look at what they got. Within 2 years, they were in the World Series, and they were one of the most successful teams there for almost 10 years. So, I mean, it's
Yeah.
to me, it's worth it.
See, I'm not. I mean, you and I have gone on around and around and around about this. I am not a huge fan of overpaying for players because it has like the Lions, or not the Lions, but the Red Wings did it when they were playing. They were paying these guys overinflated contracts for the lack of production.
Right.
I'm not a fan of 10-year contracts. I'm not a fan of that. 4 years I can handle, but the larger ones, no. But I mean, again,
I don't
that's
think it's
my
going to be
opinion.
10. I think it's going to be anywhere from 5 to 7. I think he's looking for, his last big payday. Well, how old is he? He's 20. Is he 27? He's
I think
27.
so.
So, it
Yeah.
could be a 10-year deal. But I did see somewhere that they were hoping to, I know John Paul Morosi, Ann Arbor's own, who's MLB network writer, he said that they were hoping that they could work out a deal to where the first couple of years of the deal weren't so loaded, we'll say. That way they can get through Miggy's contract, and then after that they would be able to, bump up the money and whatnot. And so it'll be interesting to see if that's something that he'd be willing to
But
take.
then the thing is like you're stuck with the same situation that you are with Miggy right now. Like, if
Yeah.
you have his, because his contract is right here, then it's progressively getting more and more and more. Well, as it's going up like this,
Yeah.
Miggy's production is going.
But do you think Correa being not as much of a quote unquote power hitter, not so big either? He's not, he doesn't have that build as Miggy. I think his power has gotten him into some injuries. The torque he has on his swing, his knees, I think that took a toll. Is that a situation where Correa being a shortstop, it's not as I don't know. He doesn't seem to be as exerting as much power and strength as Miggy would. Maybe that wouldn't come into play in this situation.
I mean, that's a good argument to have or a
Yeah.
discussion to have, but I I'm not a big fan of the guy produced a shit ton with the Astros.
Right.
You're expecting that same production over here if he was to sign here, but I don't want to see that. So we're gonna shift onto a different topic real quick here because we got a guest that's gonna be chiming on here for a second. Let's move
now,
on
mind
to
you, I can't see anything that's going on. I am blind here. I don't know what's happening. Oh, look at who it is.
What's up, buddy?
Hey, man.
How
Hey,
you
so
guys
we're getting
doing?
ready to doing well. We're getting ready to talk about some college football this weekend with the Ohio State and Michigan State game. You got any input?
You're
Oh,
either
boy.
taking a shit or you're on a lunch break.
I'm on a lunch break.
Hey, turn your phone the other way.
There
you go.
There you go.
My input on the game this week, go Buckeyes.
Is that because you'll root for anybody that plays against Michigan State?
Yeah, well, then the situation that we're given right now with a chance to go to Indy, at any other time I would like to see both of them lose, but you got to root for one this weekend.
Yeah.
And
I'm with you. I mean, I'd like to see Michigan State lose. I don't want them to lose terribly because I still want Walker to have a decent game to where he's still going to be elevated up there. I mean, if somebody's going to win the Heisman from Michigan or Michigan State, I mean, I'll take that any day of the week. But yeah, I still want Ohio State to win, but not convincingly like everybody says. But I think the spread's not that far out, is it?
minus 19.5. I heard today.
Oh, that's
it's.
Oh no, the early one for Michigan that they just came out was saying that Michigan it's only 4 points.
Michigan's 4.5. Ohio State's 4.5 over. To even think about a spread 2 weeks before the game is stupid.
Yeah,
but the game Saturday, Michigan State's the 19-point dog, which that surprises me.
That's a lot of points.
Vegas is not loving Ohio State, but that could be a situation where they're trying to sway. They're trying to get people to bet heavy on Michigan State, and then they'll flip flop it. 'Cause I see that number coming down, maybe 4 or 5 points. 19's too high. I think that's a really big smack in the face to Michigan State of what they've been able to accomplish this year.
I think we'll be able to. I'll be able to tell you a lot more about next week's game after watching this week's game. It's going to be a good measuring stick here.
So you're saying you want to join the show?
Yeah.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
So, do you? My opinion of this game, they're going to go in the game plan. Definitely is going to be to rely heavy on K9. I think where Michigan State, or I should say Ohio State, the big question mark is, are they going to be able to shut them down up the middle? It seems like their front line hasn't been as strong in former years. Their defensive ends are strong, but I think Ohio State has to go back and look at what he did to Michigan up the middle, and if they can protect that middle, they have a shot. But then again, you know what? Ohio State's weak on the secondary too. So for me to look at and say, okay, they're going to lose by 19, I just don't see it. I think Michigan State has a better offense than Michigan does. So I think that they'll definitely be able to score. But it all relies on that running game. If they defend that run, that's going to open up some opportunities for Peyton Thorne to go downfield.
I anticipate a shootout in this game. Both secondaries are towards the back, around 100, somewhere around 100 in the country. So they're both giving up big plays in the secondary. Travion Henderson might be just as good, if not better, than Walker. So you got two feature backs, and then you got Ohio State with Njibwe and Olave and Garrett
Stroud,
Wilson.
30 touchdowns this year.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's just so many different angles where you got to defend Ohio State to make it hard on you. So I think it's going to be a shootout, or blowout.
And the advantage Ohio State has, they're playing at home. So
yeah,
the toilet seat.
Yeah. At the toilet bowl. But it's a noon game, so
yeah.
Which surprises me. I think Fox must have got the ticket on the game.
No, it's on ESPN.
Really?
Fox has Bedlam this week.
I think ABC gets first bid and then Fox. So they must.
But yeah, I mean, that's a premier game. That's 4 for 7. This is huge college football playoff implications, and to put that game on noon, I don't know.
I think they're showing Michigan State a lot of disrespect.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. They deserve some primetime spots.
Yeah. Well, I think if Tucker's anything like D'Antonio in the past, then he's going to have them ready to play, and they're going to use it as
question. Yeah, that's one of the things I put on my notes this week. He's brought this swagger and intensity to the program, and I didn't even see that in D'Antonio. He's up and down the sidelines like, that's one dude I don't want to be caught dead pissing off.
I don't know how much merit you put into recruiting rankings, but I kind of glanced at their recruiting under Tucker the other day, and he's recruiting at a different level than D'Antonio. And I think if there's ever a time where they can take that next level, it'll be now under him or never.
Well, and that's only good for the Big Ten, because they'll always be considered second tier to the SEC. And anytime, there can be some competition on the SEC, I'm all for it.
Yeah. Well, the way they overachieved this year, I think if he beats Ohio State, you got to pay that man his money too.
Who?
Well, let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
Who are we talking about?
Old burnt drawers. Did you see that picture? He burned his pants last week on the torpedo heater.
Yeah.
Burned a hole in his pants.
I say right now, if he beats Ohio State, well, you know what though? We don't know. See, the only thing we might know is his base salary is this. His base salary is $5 million.
$4.5 million.
Yeah, so there might be some kickers in there for him beating Ohio State or with records something like that. So they're not going to sign. I think they said that his contract was more performance based as opposed to just hey, here's a check, here you go.
Yeah.
But here's the deal: he's got no buyout. They could show him the door, and it's not going to cost him anything, because they said, we want to have the opportunity. If we want to relieve you of your duties, it's not going to cost us anything. So, I like that.
Michigan's not going to get rid of him this year, and here's the reason why: there ain't nobody to take his place.
No,
nobody wants to come here either.
No,
I think he hired a great staff.
What's that?
I think he hired a great staff. I mean, have you seen what Arizona's defense is doing under Don Brown? They're getting torched.
They got one win.
Yeah.
That's where you go. Coaches go to die is Arizona, and they go and
get
a condo.
Mike McDonald. He finished out this season strong. He's a candidate for assistant coach of the year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were talking about that last week. But you know what?
Look what Sharon Moore has done with that offensive line.
Yeah, they got some work to do up the middle. It just seems like they're trying to force things a little bit too much. And I talked about it in my little live I went on Saturday. They ran the same play 5 times in a row on that last possession. And it was come on. I mean, how predictable can you get? Unfortunately, they hit for that big one that ended up being the game winner. But this offense is just so predictable, so vanilla. They're trying to force something that just isn't there. And it's like, do they not trust their receivers? Or what's the situation?
I think the offensive line is just good. You go back and you roll the tape this year, they've been knocking people around. You know what I mean?
Not lately, though. Not the last couple games.
Their identity has been power football. I mean, you don't really get away from what got you here,
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, you look at that game last week against Penn State, and it seemed they were making some strides offensively, and then
Yeah.
the second half they kind of went right back to what they did against Michigan State. They
But
just they got a lead and they tried to keep it instead of just building on it.
They've added to the offense, so you've seen a lot more air call lately. A little bit of Roman, you know what I mean? They've incorporated the receivers. I think,
it's nice to see Eric All finally start to show what his value is. I know last year you didn't get to see it, but he's been good. I mean, the last 3 weeks. I mean, I should take one away because he didn't play a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's been everything is advertised, and they're going to need him. They're going to need him specifically next week.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So going into the Michigan State Ohio State. What's your prediction, JP? What do you think's going to happen realistically?
Like I said, I think that there's been a lot of disrespect towards Sparty, and I think that they will show up. They'll come out and play. I got Ohio State 35-24, somewhere in there.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
How many touchdowns is Kenneth Walker going to have?
I think he might end up having their only touchdowns. I'll give him 3.
Yeah. He scores. Put it this way: he puts up 100 yards and scores a touchdown or 2. There's no way you can't give him the Heisman. There has not been another player in college football this year.
You can't. You can't give it to somebody else because
you can't. But
you know how
they
works.
could. But there has not been another player in college football that has been consistently good week in and week out, and who deserves it more than him. And that's coming from a Michigan fan. I do not like Michigan State, but the reality is he's the best player in the country, no doubt about it.
I think they're gonna push that kid from Alabama, that quarterback. He's got to be the front runner right now.
Look at their schedule.
He is.
I mean,
you're playing right now.
You're playing what, South Dakota State or whoever the hell they played last week, and come on, give me a break.
I mean, going back to that game though, real quick. I mean, with Naylor out, they really only have Jaden Reed. You know what I mean? And you got one guy to shut down in the secondary. You don't. It could get ugly. Who knows? We'll see. We'll have to come back to it.
Yeah.
Well, are you coming out? Are you coming out Saturday?
Yeah, I should be out.
All right. Well, maybe
Joe's coming down.
Maybe Saturday we can do a pre-record and launch it after.
Yeah. What time's that game Saturday? 8? Or it's a noon game.
3:30. Oh, the Michigan State game's at noon. Michigan's at 3:30.
Okay. All right. Well, yeah, I'll come out. Shit, I don't know. I might have to be out. I might have to come out early. I don't know. Because I gotta watch that game, and then obviously I gotta watch the following game.
They're all
got about a screwball.
Yeah. Oh, Joe's coming. So
Joe's coming Saturday?
Joe will be there. Joe will be in the house.
Oh boy, I'll be looking forward to that.
Himself.
All right, I can't wait for that.
All right, so guys. Well, I got to get back to work.
Hey, JP.
Tell all the peeps at CSC I said hello.
Yes, sir. You guys have a good one.
We'll see
you.
Hey,
buddy.
All right.
That's cool. Yeah, I like getting him on because he gives us a pretty good insight on. He's like a walking encyclopedia.
He's a savant to Michigan football. But I think the first thing on my notes with this game for Michigan this week, is it a trap game? Is this a game that going in on paper says, they should steamroll them? But the reality is, what's coming up next week? Do the players, are they looking past this game, or are they going to stay focused enough and take care of business in Turtletown?
Well, no, I don't think it's a trap game because the fact is they need the win. They need the win. They can't settle for what they need to make sure is that when they go in healthy, they come out healthy. And we don't need we don't need any more losses. Corm's sitting out this game.
And there's talk that he won't play. He might not be back for the Ohio State game, and that's scary.
I probably would bet that he would do everything. He might not be as active as we'd like him to be, but I'm sure there is a possibility that he will be out on the field contributing what he can when he can.
He's going to want to be out there. There's no question about it. He's definitely a fighter. But yeah, holding him out this week makes a lot of sense because you have Donovan Edwards, who came back last week, didn't look really good, but Penn State's got a hell of a defense.
He's a freshman, so
they have some depth that I think that can carry them through this week. But I do want to see them open up the offense and get a little bit more creative, we'll say, because I mean,
I will tell you. I'll tell you what I don't want to see is I do not want to see a round robin of quarterbacks. I want McNamara to stay in there. I
think you did not see JJ play Saturday.
No, and I like to keep it that way.
Exactly. I think
we have to win this week to make next week mean that much more.
Well, and look back at last week's game. That was a must win, and you don't move forward until you win that game. And that was a game that in previous years they find a way to lose, and just like they did against Michigan State, I liked the way they recovered once they lost the lead. It didn't seem to rattle them. They were like, okay, let's go get it done. And they went in and got the win. So I think this week is going to be the same mentality. Like, we can't do anything until we get this win. And then on to the next one, the old cliche, one game at a time, which is total coach speak. But, I mean, they have to have that mentality.
Yeah, so with that being said, since we're on football right now, thank God I was in the air from 8 o'clock a.m. Pacific time and didn't get back home till 7 o'clock Eastern. Or actually, I didn't get home till 9:30 Eastern Standard Time. I was texting you, and I was also getting updates on Twitter from my man Easy, and I just. I'm glad I didn't watch that game.
I remember with about a minute and a half to go in overtime, you sent me a text. Hey, any updates? I go, yeah, they're gonna tie, and your response was, what?
Well, and so the flight from Vegas to Detroit. They had a streaming package. I was like, all right, cool. Maybe I'll just get the internet. It was $5. I'm like, man, I'll get the internet. I'll stream and try to catch the game. Well, on all the apps I have on my phone, everything I have on my phone, the game they didn't have is the Lions game. So I had to wait for the Cowboys and the Atlanta game to go off,
which was over. That game was over midway through the first quarter.
Yeah, and so I saw the overtime for like the first 4 minutes or so, and then it got into a spot where it was buffering like crazy. I could send text messages and everything like that. That's why I texted you, but I couldn't watch anything. So I saw that. I saw that pathetic attempt of a field goal.
Oh,
it's like he didn't kick it. It's like my son, who's like 4 foot tall, could have knocked it down out of the air.
On Twitter, there was a post that said, comment what this picture looks like. And my comment was, if you make this kick, your tuition will be paid for the entire year. And it was like, I get it was wet and it was probably, soggy field and whatever. And that was bad. The kicker for South Lyon could probably make that field goal, but at 48 yards and you miss it that bad. I mean, it was 5 yards short.
Well, let me tell you, the kicker for South Lyon should be able to make it because the pedigree with NFL kickers runs in his blood.
And I don't even know what it is, by the way.
The kicker for South Lyon High School football, last name happens to be Stoyanovich.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, yeah. Well, shit, he's got a future ahead of him for sure. So I know throughout the game, they kept saying, Goff was a little off. And, after their last possession in overtime, they had him wrapped up pretty good. And then they talked about it, MCDC this week. Like, what was the situation? He's like, he couldn't throw real well. He was banged up. What does that tell you about David Blau? I know on Twitter, all these people are clamoring for David Blau. If they don't bring him in when they have a quarterback on the field who clearly can't throw the ball, who clearly is in no condition to move that offense at all, they're calling run plays every third down. What does that tell you how the coaching staff feels about this guy when even in the time where you would think this was his time to shine, he doesn't get off the bench?
And to a certain extent, if their game plan was to continue to stay on the ground like they did, why bring a guy in who doesn't ever really get reps with the first team? So why would you bring a guy in to even just hand the ball off? I get it both ways. I really do. I think even though, for lack of better terms, Goff does give you a better chance to win games than David Blau.
If he's healthy, right.
Yeah, exactly. But if he can't, some of these 40-yard passes he was barely making. If the guy is hurt, then then this week they got Boyle taking most of the snaps.
Yeah, well,
So
they're saying that there's a good chance that he won't play, and I think some of the fans will be happy about that. But back to the the game plan, and all of a sudden MCDC decides to be the play caller. Little problem here in Allen Park with Anthony Lynn, and because you certainly I didn't see the camera pan to him at all. And as the offensive coordinator, when they take away your basic duty, and that's calling plays, they take that away. What else do you have to look forward to as a coach?
I think I honestly think that is a move that surprised a lot of people, because Dan Campbell's never been a caller, never been a play caller.
A tight ends coach. That's what he is.
For him to take that over, this week coming up, maybe Anthony Lynn has it back. Maybe he said, "Hey, let me give it a try. Let me work on this." At the end of the day, Anthony Lynn makes those calls. Dan Campbell hears every call going on there. Dan Campbell at any time can say something and say no.
Only one coach has access in the helmet. Only one coach.
You don't think he don't hear that? You don't.
But you don't think Lynn might be able to hear, but he can't speak to Goff in that helmet.
But that's fine. But he can also call an audible from the sideline.
Yeah, but that just
here's the thing is he can do that, because there's been times this year where they had gone, hurry up, I'm one that I'll fall on that one. I'm the one that made that call to do that. So, you know what I mean?
But I mean, to me, it's it's a weird situation for the head coach to just like out of the blue say, "Hey, I'm calling plays now." I want the last say, and to me, that doesn't bode very well for Anthony Lynn, who's been an NFL head coach. He's been an offensive coordinator. And for Campbell to say, "Hey, I'm taking over that job," I don't expect Lynn to be here after this season.
Yeah, from what I heard and what I saw from a statistical standpoint, they ran the ball very well because they got
their line got healthy.
They got their line a little healthier.
Their run blocking was really well for the first half. Most of those yards came in the first half. And Sewell, and they ran on the right side of the line a lot, and Sewell was really good. He was really good, and there was a flash of what could be. If they had Ragnow, it would be even better. So it's hard to gauge that line right now, especially with Ragnow being out for the season. But you look at the little things, and their running game was pretty solid with that Jefferson, and he ended up hurting his hip and getting that nice little touchdown, and then they brought in that Ojibwe or whatever the hell his last name was, and he had a nice touchdown. He ran the ball really well. So with running backs that really didn't have a lot of experience, they were making some things happen, and going on that side of the line where who's on that side is T.J. Watt, and unfortunately he ran out in the fourth quarter with a knee injury, which doesn't look like it's serious, so that's good for them. But if there was a bright spot of the week, it was the offensive line run blocking, the pass blocking not so much, but. Going up against Cleveland this week, that line is 11.5, which I'll take that all day because I think you're going to have an angry Browns team. Coming in, you're going to have Nick Chubb back, and they can defend well. That I think last week was an anomaly for Cleveland getting their asses handed to them in New England. Against a pretty damn good rookie quarterback, but it's not looking good for this week. I'm just glad I'm not going because it would be a long drive back home. I'm sure Pops is going to be gleaming after Sunday.
Yeah. All right. Well, I know we got more on here, but we're getting close to time, and this guy's got to get up at 4:30. So.
Yep.
But we do got more to talk about. We'll talk about some baseball on the next show, which probably be Saturday or Sunday. Maybe do a Saturday with a crowd of people. We can set it up when you get a crowd of people in there and everything like that. But one of the things is we'll touch on real quick, and NHL. The Ottawa Senators shut down for the next 3 games due to some COVID outbreaks of 10 players. So. It's still here. We still got to adapt to it.
Almost 8,000 a day here in Michigan.
Yeah, my personal opinion when it comes to the sports and everything like that is I think they need to go back to the taxi squad. We'll look at last night's game. In the middle of the game, Larkin's test came up positive. They pulled him right from the game right then and there in the middle of the game. So,
how does that happen, though? When does he get tested?
I don't know.
And then here's the other part of it. You're close contact with everybody on the team.
Yeah, but
how does the rest of the team not get shut down?
Well, because I think what happens is I think they have different protocol based on vaccination status. So Bertuzzi might be. I think the only guy on the team that should really be worried is Bertuzzi because he's not vaccinated. But whatever. So anyway, all right. Well, hey, we'll catch up again here this weekend. Look out for some more football, get some more hockey going and stuff like that. I know we got a couple other things that we want to talk about, but that's it, man. So.
Yep. All right. We'll see y'all this weekend.
All right, man.